This is the Culinary Life. Conversations with scholars, chefs, nutritionists, farmers, and others who recognize that the production and consumption of food, beer, and wine connect us all. Hosted by Dr. A. Werner Absanger, Director of the Sekia Institute for Culinary Education at Grand Rapids Community College.
So, Chef Daniel Boulud's renowned restaurant delights the senses with elegant ambience, gracious service, and delectable menus in the heart of Manhattan's Upper East Side. Today I'm here with John Allaben, who is one of our students and had the opportunity to internship at a Michelin 2-star restaurant over this past summer. John, very good to have you.
Yes, thank you. It's really nice being here.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to this conversation because I really want to find out a little bit more about your experience, what it was like to work at Daniel's in New York, but also to get a sense of the community there and, you know, how the kitchen brigade was set up and things like that. So let's start first, I suppose. How did you get that gig?
Well, when it came time to land an internship to graduate, I just didn't really know where to go or where to start. I know that we had a list of all the possible locations on our Blackboard, but I didn't really find anything on there that I saw like that would fit very well for me. So I went to one of my chefs, Chef Luba, the banquet chef, because I've been working with her for I had been working with her for about a year at that point. And I was just like, Chef, I really need an internship. Do you have any ideas of where to go or what I could do? And she immediately, like, no questions asked, sent me right to Chef Gilles, our pastry chef. And I had taken his lab a few semesters prior, and actually that one semester prior. So was pretty fresh with him and had formed a good bond with him and had really liked his class. And yeah, I went to Chef Gilles, and just like Chef Luba, I was like, Chef, can you help me out at all? I just really don't know where to go. I'm like an open book here. And he thought of one resort, the Kiowa Resort in South Carolina. I'm not sure. I think it was on an island there, but I'm not sure which island. And that was going to be for pastry, like something that he wanted me to do, but I wasn't fully like, I didn't have a full passion for that. And so I tried to work things out with the resort, and it ended up that they were full for the summer, so they weren't taking employees. So I went back to Chef Gilles, and I'm like, Chef, they were full. I still need some help. And he just pulled out his phone, and before he showed me who his contact was, he just said like, oh, this is gonna change your life. And I was just like, oh man, who's it gonna be? And he showed me, and it said Daniel Boulud, and I knew who he was. I was somewhat familiar with like his greatness. I hadn't fully known.
And for the listeners who are not aware who Daniel Boulud is, but he wrote the book Kitchen Confidential, like, when was it? Early 2000s, I think. So excellent book. If you haven't read it yet, just to plug his book really quick. Anyway, Go ahead, John.
Yeah, and so after Chef showed me, I was kind of like, my jaw dropped, and I was just like, is this like really happening? Like, I knew that kids from our school don't really go to Michelin level star restaurants always, or at least not often, and I was just pretty shocked. So he called Danielle's assistant, her name is Juliet, right there actually that day, and talked to them. He actually had a pastry class going on that night, and he stepped outside to make the call, which was kind of funny. But and yeah, I was just kind of like shaking when he was talking to Juliet, because he was smiling, and just, they were speaking French, so I obviously couldn't tell what they were saying, but I could tell he was praising me, and it was just really cool, just experiencing something like that. And after he hung up, he's looked at me, and he's like, send them your resume, and you should be good to go. And I was just like, thanked him, like, more than enough, like, and sent them my resume. And step by step, I just worked with their HR department and emailing back and forth, and I had a phone call interview, and eventually
you made it there, right?
Yeah, we set up a date for a stage, and I went out to New York with my family and did that, and it went really, really well. And that night they told me that they'd like to have me for the summer.
So you went back there for the summer. So
Yes.
now tell me a little bit. So how was it setting up shop in New York for, how long were you there? 4 weeks, 6 weeks?
2.5 months.
2.5
so
months,
11
okay.
weeks.
Yeah. So how was it like setting up shop there? Obviously you had to find living quarters there, right?
Yeah.
How was that? And then tell me a little bit about your first day when you got there to actually work.
Okay. All right. So the problem with finding where to live, they didn't provide living quarters, and
Right.
I wasn't expecting them to at all with their how many employees they have and just how quickly their employees come in and out and how international they are. So my dad actually was talking to one of his friends, and his friend mentioned like, oh, the YMCA has hostels, kind of like a small international hotel, basically.
Yeah.
And my dad like looked it up and was researching about it and let me know. And I like started looking it up myself and found out that it was only like 15 minutes walking to the restaurant.
Nice. Yeah.
Right in like right off of Broadway Street, right in Manhattan. And so yeah, that's where I stayed, the West Side YMCA. It was.
So you really got creative in finding your own quarters to be in New York for 2.5 months, right?
Yeah, I could have, like found apartments or a place to live with a roommate, but I was just really, I don't know, that seemed a little bit too difficult for me. And I know a lot of other people don't have issues finding roommates, but for me, I don't know why. It just seemed like kind of difficult. My situation was kind of
messed up, right?
Yeah, kind of just not like a run-of-the-mill situation. And I was just focused on the job, so I just needed somewhere to stay that was really cheap, somewhat close to the restaurant.
Because you kind of knew once you're there for 12, 14 hours a day, right? Or was it really like that? Or
It wasn't that long of a day. The cooks upstairs would cook that long, 12, 13 hours a day. But since I was just on the prep team, we only consisted of interns. And I think the restaurant wanted to limit our hours. So they really only let us work 40 hours a week.
Oh, nice.
So just about like 8-hour days. But there was not a lot of time for rest at all during those days. Pretty busy.
So what have you learned about running a 2 Michelin star restaurant? What have you seen and what have you learned?
Wow, there's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so a side note, the nice thing about being on the prep team, we are on the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak. So you can really learn with your eyes and just have a lot of time to visualize, okay, how is everything working? Because it takes a while. It's like overwhelming right when you walk in. But I would say like the biggest thing I learned is that you have to have a team of like obviously competent employees, but also loyal employees. So you can really form like a good core of employees so everyone can contribute and you always know that things are going to get done and you always keep the standard set as high as you can, like further than you think you could reach.
Right.
I learned that every second counts when you're working, even like literally every second. Our prep team was responsible for finishing all the garnitures and any sort of prep work that needed to be done for all the stations in the restaurant. And we only had, there were 5 of us, but we only had 5 hours to get it done in time for service. So every day was constant pressure.
So how many covers are we talking about on average?
Yeah, so Monday through Thursday, they're a bit slower. They do about 140 every night, and the weekends are where they pick up. So Friday and Saturday, they do like 200 to 220.
And what's the menu like? Is it like 4-course menu, 5-course menu?
Yeah, they do price fix menus at 4-course and 8 courses, and then they have a chef's tasting menu that's 9 courses. I don't believe you can do a la carte. I never got to dine there, which I regret a lot, but I know I'll have a chance.
You'll have a chance,
Yeah, so I just think that's what they do. And lots of tableside, classic French restauranting.
So how many chefs total in his operation? So he has an executive chef, an executive sous chef, and then how many people aside from...
Yeah, so the executive chef, the chef de cuisine, they're seen as like the higher ups, I guess, the top 2. And then the executive sous chef, we have 2 other sous chefs and a junior sous chef as well. And then we have a banquet chef, a catering chef, and then it comes down to like the next tier of cooks, I would say, which are the cooks on the stations. And we're also like running a banquet department and a catering department. So under that, I would then say there are like 7 banquet cooks and 7 catering cooks.
Yeah.
So all in all, they're running about like 40 people
every night
on 2 floors. Yeah, working
wow.
every night. So
that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bustling place. A lot of chaos.
So what can you tell me about? Well, one burning question is, how often did you meet Daniel Boulud?
Oh yeah, Daniel. Yeah. So the first time, like the first week had gone by and I hadn't seen him, and I'm like, okay. So then the second week went by and I was just, I was just working on deveining crayfish and totally mindless job. And I look over and there's Daniel Boulud standing there, just dressed really nicely, like shaking hands with people as he walks by. And I started just like sweating a little and my heart rate got a little higher. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's like, this is the guy I've been seeing in all these cookbooks and reading all about. And it looks exactly like he does in the pictures. And so he came over to me and shook my hand. He's just like, hello, who are you? And I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'm John Allaben from the SICE Institute of Culinary Education. And he's like, who sent you? And I just said, Chef Gilles. And he's like, oh, yeah, like I know Chef Gilles. And he smiled and went about his business. But after that, I only saw him 2 other times. He was doing some video recordings in the kitchen being nominated for top chef in the like 20s for the world. And so that's it. Not as much as I thought, but I know he works a lot after we leave at night. So
and then the impression you got was that he was a really mellow guy, right?
Yeah, really mellow. When we would say goodnight for service sometimes, though, he was up there. One of the times I saw him, and he was kind of
intense.
Yeah, a little intense. Definitely under control, but his face was red, and he was definitely yelling a little bit.
Nice.
But I mean, he's under pressure, so it's expected. Yeah.
So, what have you learned about the culture in this restaurant? Like, have you picked up about the culture or the community, or how little clique forms, or what have you learned about the community there in this restaurant?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's really, like I said earlier, it's pretty international. So like the culture of it is just a big mixing pot. Everyone gets along for the most part. I bet certain people have their gripes with others, like every restaurant does. But for the most part, everyone there, the culture is like really team-based, and it's like we have people who speak Spanish and Portuguese, and we have a lot of our dishwashers are actually just from West Africa, and they are all a little clique almost, and they always just hang out by the dishwashers. And we have a lot of Mexican employees who will be our butchers, and a lot of them do prep with us as well. So it's just really cool because when I went there, it's just like you start working and you just constantly hear languages that you don't understand. So like the chefs are speaking French, and the dishwashers are speaking the local African language, and the butcher's speaking Spanish with other Hispanic guys. And it was just really eye-opening and felt like I was growing like a lot, I don't know, culturally, or just like getting out of Grand Rapids to experience all this stuff while being in New York as well, which is a massive melting pot. I guess that's just something that really stood out to me.
So what have you learned about food while you were there?
A lot about food. It takes a lot of time and preparation with most ingredients, if not all of the ingredients. They always take time, and more time than you would ever think possible. And I've learned that you can create virtually anything with each ingredient. Like asparagus could be used 10 different ways. Like it doesn't always have to be the traditional asparagus on a plate. I've learned that food can, change people's lives. I've heard like feedback from eating at, Restaurant Daniel and restaurants around the area. I've learned that it is something I am passionate about. So that's what food taught me, I guess, that I'm really passionate about it. And, food, like our chef de cuisine would bring the most exotic foods from all over the world. So many different kind of seaweeds. Like I never thought of seaweed as something that was so popular, but he just has 7 different kinds for their salad. And I just learned that food, I guess, is interchangeable, and you never know like what ingredients are out there.
And the really cool thing is, if it grows or if it's alive, it can serve as food, right? Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, that's the approach, right?
Yeah, basically. And they would just push the brink of food, I feel like, as far as it could go without turning, negative or...
So what's the most exotic thing you've seen there or tried there?
I would have to say most exotic thing I saw was cauliflower mushroom. It was this massive 2.5 pound. It just looks like a massive cauliflower, but it's actually a type of mushroom, and it's wavy and soft and super crazy. I just never seen anything like it. Didn't know it existed. So that would probably be the most exotic food I saw there.
And what did they make with that? Oh.
I actually wasn't sure because it was the last week of my externship, and I was helping this woman who brings a lot of exotic herbs and products and plants in. Chef Eddie, that's the chef de cuisine. Just, John, go help her. So go help her and bring it in, and I pull it out of the box, and Chef Eddie's just like, oh, wow, like just so like exuberant about it. And he just had me hold it, and he always takes pictures of the employees and puts them on their Instagram. He's like, John, hold this. And I knew exactly what was about to happen. I was so happy, and I just like smiled. He took a picture, and
nice.
Yeah, I got on their Instagram actually, like holding the picture or holding the mushroom with an explanation. But
so what's the most exotic ingredient or dish you actually get to try and enjoy?
Oh, okay. Let's see. So I didn't get to try a lot of their dishes actually. I'm not sure why. I just don't think it was like you said about the culture. It just wasn't really a culture there. You would get to try components of every dish, just not plated dishes. I would say right off the top of my head, I just think of these garlic balbettes. They're like these furry little green things that you peel all the green hairs off of and then just crush, and it's these little tiny little beads of garlic almost, like this strain of garlic, and I'm not sure, I think it went on one of their fish dishes with their fluke, and I don't know, just trying that and just opening your mind to like something that you never even knew existed, and the texture and the flavor, and thinking how you could use it. That would be one thing off the top of my head.
How has working at Daniel affected your own approach to cooking and food?
I think it's changed it 90% positively and maybe 10% negatively. But I guess I'll actually start with a positive, because that's easier for me. It's just given me more appreciation for food. It's given me more appreciation to care for each ingredient, like having as little waste as possible. It's made me feel more proud to like wear a chef's jacket and to go into a kitchen and to really just know that like that's your job like in life, and that's what I want to do. And that really is, I think, one of the biggest things that made me come to this realization of like, this is where I need to be. Like I would come into the kitchen, grab the prep list, and just like own the role of being a prep cook, even though it's at the bottom. Like I was still so proud of it because I was just at that restaurant, and it taught me to like work slowly with food and methodically, and always have a plan about what you're doing to like execute whatever dish you're working with perfectly. Yeah, I think that would be the positive portion of it. The only thing I would say that was the negative was maybe the fine dining environment is sometimes too hard on your body and your mind.
Yeah.
And I think there's not enough escape from the restaurant life, at least for me, because I would leave work and just still cycle through my brain about, oh my gosh, did I mess this up? Or am I going to get yelled at? Or I'd sometimes lose sleep over it, and I never knew how to like check out of work once you leave. But that was the only thing. Nothing too major. I think most jobs deal with balance in life.
You bring up a very interesting point, which I'm hoping to bring something else to SICE as I'm getting accumulated to my role here. But it's the importance of balance in life and making sure that once you go home, you actually check out and not think about just your job, and not lay awake in bed thinking, oh, did I turn the oven off? Did I take out the creme brulee? All those things, right? Another aspect about New York, what have you discovered about the city of New York, about its food and its culture, and maybe how has it influenced your thinking about people and communities?
So New York is a totally opposite from Grand Rapids. It's pretty insanely diverse. You'll just walk down the street and hear 7 different languages, and you'll just walk by people of all walks of life. And I think for me, it opened my eyes to how a city can function with 8 million people living in it, just in Manhattan, with all the types of food and all the restaurants. is really cool that that city can come together with all these cultures, and it actually propels it like upward, as opposed to, I don't know, I guess people might think like they want one type of thing for a city, but I think in New York, it's really every day is exciting, and every day is also draining because there's so much going on. But I really think the culture there and the food and the diversity with their food is really something extraordinary, and I think it's probably the only place in like the U.S. of its kind. I think everyone needs to go there to experience it. A lot of people won't like it. There's a lot of like things that we don't have here, like trash on the sidewalks and certain smells on the streets, but it's totally worth it, and you'll learn a lot about yourself as a person, as an individual, and as how to work with, like how to
people,
how to live in a community like that.
So you bring up a very good point about how to deal with that and work on yourself as a person and watch yourself as a person grow. What's next for John? So where are you in our program? And I hear that they ask you to come back. Give us the lowdown.
All right. So the plan for right now is that I'll finish school here. I've been here for a year and a half. So I have fall semester and one more lab in the winter semester, and then I'll be ready to graduate. And yeah, like you said, Jean-Francois, the executive chef at Daniel, told me that he'd like to hire me back when I'm done with school, and asked if there's anyone I knew here at school that needs a job.
So even 2 Michelin star restaurants are hurting for help, huh?
I think everyone, like not always is hurting for help, but you'll go through times where you'll have a certain amount of cooks leave. Like I think when I left, there were 4 cooks leaving around the same time, just moving on to new jobs. They'd been there for X amount of years. But yeah, I think if you can just prove to yourself that this is what you want to do, and you just care 110% of the time, and just give your life to the chefs in a sense, like you just show up and you're theirs to use, basically. It's never about you or your feelings. It's always just about them. And I think if you can do that and be okay with it, then I think you can go anywhere you want, really. Work anywhere.
So, and I'm not sure if you have given that some thought. So let's say you go back to Daniel's, give it, whatever you have for 2 years, and then what's next? Have you thought about that yet, or not really?
I have actually. I've thought since I want to go back there and invest for like 2 years, show them that I'm committed. And I know it's not. I know it's not like going to happen right now. Just 2 years. It could turn into 3 or 4, or less. Like I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm hoping that it will go well, and that I can show them that I care and I'm committed to like be their employee for X amount of years. And after that, I really am hoping, I have my eye on 11 Madison Park. I know it's super far goal, but I mean, there are cooks at Daniel that were staging there just because they were working at Daniel, and it's just a breeze to go like stage there for a day. And this year it was the 3rd best restaurant in the world, and Daniel's the 65th best restaurant. So it's just like such a far step up, but I don't know. I just I had my eye on Daniel. I don't know why. It's just I'm drawn to that restaurant, and I like their Daniel Hum, their chef. Their pictures of food are gorgeous. So
one final question for you.
Yes.
How have we prepared you for this culinary life?
Yeah, so I was pretty prepared when I went to Daniel. Of course, the standard there is exceptionally high, so there was a lot of room for me to improve. But I was just prepared in a sense about how we do like general learning of cooking here. So you'll get your bakery lab, your pastry lab, your cooking. So I liked the roundness I got here. That I felt good about that, with a lot of knowledge with science and different things that maybe chefs there or cooks or interns there didn't have. My knife skills were pretty good. Definitely not to their standard, but I learned quickly. SICE here has also prepared me for time management and being under pressure and working with a team, especially. Like I think we do a good job here of working with people that we don't always get along with, and realizing that's how it's going to be. So that was nice as well. And I also want to say that working with Chef Luba in banquets and catering was seriously the best thing I could have done at this school, because it just taught me so much about like just that small step of like into fine dining, even though we don't work with like the most exceptional products and the most expensive caviar and everything. Just, you know, doing plated dinners and learning how, like I said, time management, like when you're running a banquet, that really comes into play. So she just really taught me how to act professional, how to cut things A to Z. Like she really helped my knife skills. And I guess she just mainly instilled in me that you can do whatever you put your mind to. I told her all the time how nervous I was, but she just said, you're good and you can do it. Just do what they say. And so,
And what's your advice to fellow culinarians at school?
I think the biggest piece of advice I could give to my fellow classmates is that you just need to put 100% of your efforts into whatever it is you're doing. So here at school, you just need to show up to class, prove to the chefs that you are the best and that you want to be the best and you want to learn from the best, and that you care about people as well. Like, it's not always just a hard skill of chopping an onion. You need to have the soft skills about, you know, just the emotional side to cooking. I think
speaking with people, right?
Yeah,
communicating.
With people. And also the biggest thing is like cooking with passion. Yeah. I think if you just cook with passion and you just, and you care.
You're good to go.
Yeah. Right. And you care, then you're good to go. So everything will fall into place after that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
John Allaben, who just interned at Daniel's in New York. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so
it was
much,
a great pleasure to hear the story.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
This has been The Culinary Life, hosted by Dr. A. Werner Absenger, Director of the Secchia Institute for Culinary Education at Grand Rapids Community College. Produced by GRCC Media Technologies. Get to know us better at grcc.edu/SICE.